Good evening, everybody. This is the third round of the Italian Championship of 2025-2026. We have two amazing teams debating tonight with us. Team Proposition, League Dis Dialectis, and Team Opposition, Team Proposition, Team League Dis Dialectis, and Team Opposition, Come Titans debate. I'm Sara Mirkovic. I'm going to be your chair for tonight's debate. And first of all, I would like my two other panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Chiara Mancini.
Hi, I'm Carla Orsatti.
Perfect. Now, starting from Team Proposition, I would like the teams to introduce themselves as well, and then Team Opposition.
Okay. So hi, I'm Anna Szaszkowska-Ferrari, and I'm the speaker one of the team Dis Logos. Can I start with the whole debate thing?
No, you just introduce yourself, then we're going to start the debate later. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be speaker one. So, and the Dis Logos team.
Hi, I'm Sophie Basso. Our team is called Dis Tactics, and I am the second speaker. I'm the speaker of Dis Tactics.
Team Opposition?
I am Giovanna Di Mazzo, and I am the first speaker of the opposition team, and I will also be doing the reply speech.
Hi, I'm Angela Balletta, and I'm the second speaker of the opposition team.
Hi, I'm Mike Coppola, and I'm the third speaker of the opposition team.
Okay. Please, everybody, could you close your mic if you're not talking so there's not a lot of noise? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Tonight's debate is a prep debate, so no preparation needed. We already have the motion, and we're going to start immediately as soon as I release it. The motion of today is paired with an info slide, and the info slide states, novel foods refers to foods introduced in Europe from the 15th of May 1997, whose marketing is currently regulated by regulation of the EU 2015-2283. And the motion states, this House would require all foods already on the market to undergo the European safety assessment currently mandated for novel foods. During your debates, during your speeches, I'm going to keep my microphone on so that you can hear him the time tracking, but you can also track it yourself. And for the POIs, just one instruction, don't use the emoji here on Google Meet. Just open your mic and say POI, because maybe the speaker won't hear it otherwise. So if there are not other further questions, I would say we can start the debate. And are there any further questions? Okay, perfect. Now, I would like to give the floor to first speaker of Proposition, Anna Ferrari. The floor is yours.
Okay. So food safety regulation exists for one simple reason: to protect human life. Every day, millions of Europeans consume food under the assumption that it has been meeting the highest safety standards available, putting trust into the food safety assessment. Honorable Chair, esteemed educators, and members of the House, my name is Anna Szaszkowska-Ferrari. I am part of the Team Pro, and I will be presenting Speaker 1 today. We have gathered here to argue that all foods already on the market require to undergo the European safety assessment currently mandated for novel foods. Under the EU regulation, a novel food is defined as any food or food ingredient that was not consumed to a significant degree in the European Union prior to May the 15th, 1997. The European Safety Assessment itself is carried out by the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, which examines scientific evidence to determine whether a food is safe for consumers before it can be approved, for placement on the EU market. As our team line, we believe that true unity is founded on justice and trust on the food market from our society. Without these guidelines, unsafe food may enter the food market and justice gets undermined, which weakens the bond of society's unity. Because equal players on unequal grounds create unequal outcomes. Furthermore, societal awareness regarding the safety and suitability of available food for consumption is a significant factor in trust. Unsafe food is a risk to consumers' health and at the same time damages the socio-economic development of countries, limiting people's ability to buy healthy and safe food. For these reasons, requiring all novel foods to undergo the European Safety Assessment is essential. A single, uniform evaluation system creates a level playing field for all producers, regardless of their size or origin. At the same time, it ensures consumer trust and protects public health, while also supporting fair competition and economic stability. Some may state that the strictness of individual guidelines increases the unemployment of producers, but in reality, the strict safety standards protect jobs in the long term by maintaining consumer trust in the food market. When consumers trust that products are safe, demand remains stable, which supports producers rather than harming them. To prove this, during this debate, my team and I will analyze 3 different arguments which show why novel foods should be required to undergo the European Safety Assessment. Argument 1, which will be discussed by me, is that health standards are better when the rules are unified. This is because unified rules lead to higher health standards by ensuring that all food products are assessed under the same strict safety requirements, reducing health risks and protecting consumers equally across the EU. Then, Sophia, speaker 2, will discuss the other arguments. Argument number 2, which is that a unified regulatory system is more effective. A unified regulatory system is particularly effective because it applies the same health and safety standards to all producers, which prevents loopholes, reduces costly duplications of assessments, strengthens consumer trust, and protects public health while creating stable and predictable economic conditions for the market. Argument number 3, stating that a unified rulebook is fair so that everyone plays by the same rules. A unified rulebook is effective, especially in terms of fairness, because it ensures that all producers operate under the same conditions, preventing unfair competitions and creating an equal playing field. Finally, Sarah, the speaker 3, will refute what has been said by the team against. I will now present argument 1. Health standards are better when rules are unified. We all consider food safety as an important issue that affects all the world's people. Access to nutritionality, adequate and safe food was recognized as a right of each individual by the World Declaration of Nutrition, jointly made by the Food. Yes?
Are you considering that increasing costs for staple foods could negatively affect nutrition and health for low-income populations?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please? I can't hear.
Are you considering that increasing costs for staple foods could negatively affect nutrition and health for low-income populations?
I am stating that without the guidelines, without the checks by the European Safety Assessment, it could negatively influence the food quality. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So let me continue. Jointly made by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and WHO in 1992. Food safety is also specifically recognized as a fundamental individual right in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, whose goal is, by 2030, to end hunger and ensure access by all people, in particular of the poor and people in vulnerable situations, including children, to a safe, nutritious environment and sufficient food all year round. The safety of the food we consume has a direct impact on individual and population health. The central goal of the European Commission's food safety policy is to ensure a high level of protection of human health, covering the whole supply chain. In recent years, great attention has been paid to food testing and the application of meteorological tools to support food safety. The global food market and national and international food safety regulations have created a huge demand for the measurement, traceability, and comparability of analytical results that are independent of time or space boundaries. The food policy of the European Union is based on high food safety standards that protect the health of consumers and foster the smooth operation of European single market. In the 2000 EU food policy of consumers was reformed with the measure known as the White Paper on food safety, and the farm-to-fork approach was defined. Within it, the EC proposed a set of measures that make it possible to organize food safety with a global and integrated approach. The White Paper on food safety proposes the creation of an autonomous European food authority in charge for drawing up independent scientific opinions on all aspects relating to food safety. An improved legal framework covering all aspects related to food, from farm to fork, more harmonized control systems at national level, a dialogue with consumers and other stakeholders. This ensures high safety standards throughout the whole food support chain, from primary production to the consumer. Food safety impacts the agri-food sector, also with reference to its ability to deliver food security. Thus, food safety and food security are closely interrelated concepts that in turn represents complementing elements of sustainability. As stated by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, there is no food safety without food security. In order to ensure that the food we eat is safe, it is necessary that the content of contaminants is consistent with the limits imposed by the law, and that the measurements of these contaminants are accurate. To verify these requirements, it is necessary to apply metrological concepts to food analysis to provide sensitive, accurate, and standardized analytical methods, and to harmonize the application in analytical laboratories. The only way to secure these aspects is by making all producers follow the same guidelines created by experts for food science, which provide accurate scientific evidence within their thesis. For over 20 years, the European Food Safety Authority has built up experience in the field of novel foods, combining interdisciplinary knowledge of, for example, chemistry, microbiology, food technology, toxicology, and human nutrition under a common assessment methodology. EFSA's role is identifying and characterizing any hazards linked to the consumption of novel foods and assessing the risk associated to their consumption under the proposed conditions of use. Nowadays, the European Union has one of the highest food safety standards in the world. The EU's food safety policy is applied to the food supply chain, ensuring both health and the absence of contamination of animals and plants, promoting good hygiene practices from the producer to the final consumer, while at the same time allowing the food industry to remain one of Europe's largest manufacturing sectors. To avoid food safety and quality risks, all involved participants must value some characteristics of the product, like its origin, legal requirements, and the aspects of the parameters set by the producer's declaration. Important roles are played by the distributors, who are obligated to ensure traceability of a product at any time. The food policy of the European Union is based on high food safety standards that protect the health of customers and foster the smooth operation of the European single market. In conclusion, safe food is a basic human need. It plays a fundamental role in the socio-economic development of countries, enhances the individual and population health, and improves economic growth. Globalization, international trade, enhances individual and population health. In the globalization and the international trade that increase the world's population and intensify the plant and animal production, as well as increase the complexity of the food supply chain. Those factors have challenged the food safety. Through the strict guidelines set by the European Food Safety Assessment, all producers are required to follow the same rules for food production. This creates a fair playing field for producers and ensures a more trustworthy quality of food for society, and ultimately strengthens social unity. Without these guidelines, there is a serious risk that unsafe food could enter the market and harm public health. Not only is unsafe food a risk to consumers' health, but also undermines the socio-economic development of countries, limiting people's ability to buy healthy and safe food. Therefore, safe food saves lives, improves consumer health, and contributes to economic growth in countries where there are high food safety standards. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your speech. Your speech lasted 12 minutes, 53 seconds. Girls, remember time management is crucial in debate.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay. Now, as soon as the other two panelists are ready, just give me a thumbs up sign. We can start with the next speaker. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Anna, for your speech. Now I would like to give the floor to first speaker of opposition team, Giovanna. The floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Okay, Anna, can you turn off your microphone because I can't hear the judge properly.
What?
Can you turn off the microphone, please? Sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, guys, we're not talking. And I realized that you cannot hear the sound from here, so I'm just gonna clap 2 times when 8 minutes is over and uninterruptedly after 8:15 when we stop writing. Just a little indication. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
So if everyone can hear me properly, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, dear judges and dear opponents. My name is Giovanna Di Marzo, and I am the first speaker of the opposition team on this motion. Today, the proposition tells us that this debate is about safety, but we ask the House a more fundamental question. What does real safety look like in people's everyday lives? Because a food system cannot be called safe if it fails the people who depend on it. First, safety is not just a checkbox. According to FCA, risk assessments are scientifically complex and time-consuming. So what the proposition has said about safety is inefficient, because if every food currently on the market is reassessed, EFSA's limited staff and resources will be overloaded. And then who will assess new, genuinely risky foods or emerging contaminants? The answer is simple: nobody. And that directly threatens real consumer health. Second, health is more than just safety on paper, as they said. The WHO warns that food insecurity harms nutrition, increases chronic disease, and worsens public health outcomes. And finally, a truly effective approach to protect health is evidence-based and risk-focused. EFSA itself prioritizes high-risk foods and emerging threats, not products with decades of safe consumption. Targeting resources this way protects consumers more effectively than a costly blanket system. So, dear judges, dear opponents, safety and health are super important, but intelligent and targeted regulation protects both. So, I will start with my speech now. And we're saying that we accept the definitions given, but the question before this House is whether extending these assessments to every existing food produces better outcomes for society. The European Union already operates one of the most comprehensive food safety systems in the world, coordinated by EFSAA and national authorities. EFCA itself explains that safety assessments are scientifically complex, time-consuming, and resource-intensive processes. The motion, therefore, does not introduce safety where none exists. Instead, it proposes a dramatic expansion of an already demanding regulatory process to all foods currently available on the market. And this means that the motion affects consumers, producers, regulators, and the functioning of the entire food system. So this debate is not just about whether safety matters, because we all know that it does, but it's about how safety policy should be designed to work in the real world. So the core flaw of this motion is that it treats safety as an absolute rather than as a system with limits. It assumes that more regulation equals more protection, always, and that stricter rules have no negative consequences. The regulation always involves trade-offs. Trade-offs in time, trade-off in resources, in affordability, and in social impact. And by ignoring these trade-offs, the proposition risks creating a policy that looks protective in theory but causes harm in practice. And that's why my team proposes these three arguments. The first one that will be developed by me will be about consumers, the consumer's harm. The second one, it's about the inefficiency due to time and capacity of the European safety assessment. And the third one will be about economic and food diversity harm. So our team believes that effective food safety must be evidence-based, proportionate, and socially fair. A policy that undermines access, efficiency, and trust cannot deliver real safety. So let us stop speaking about consumers as an abstract group, because consumers are us. They are families counting coins at the checkout. They are students choosing the cheapest option that's not always the healthiest one. So let's talk about consumers as they actually exist using evidence, because according to the Eurostat, low-income households in the European Union spend a significantly higher proportion of their income on food compared to higher-income households. This means one simple thing, that poorer consumers rely heavily on cheap mass-market foods, and they have far fewer alternatives when prices rise. Now, let us look at what this policy does. Because under the regulation of the 2015-2283, safety assessments require scientific studies, administrative producers, and compliance costs for producers. Now, according to the European Commission's Better Regulation Toolbox, regulatory compliance costs in the food sectors are frequently passed on to consumers through higher prices. So let us connect the dots slowly and clearly. More regulation means higher costs, because as my teammate will explain later on, this motion will give a process that's very slow and that requires a lot of little processes that cost a lot. So more regulation means higher costs. Higher costs mean higher prices, and higher prices hurt low-income consumers first. So this is not just an economic issue. It is a public health issue. We are considering the health. We are not overshadowing it. The WHO, the World Health Organization, states that food insecurity is directly linked to poor nutrition, higher rates of chronic disease, and worse long-term health outcomes. So, we ask the house, is a food system truly safe, truly protected, as the house, the proposition told many times? Is it truly safe if people are forced to choose the cheapest option over the healthiest one? Is safety meaningful if regulation increases malnutrition and inequality? The proposition claims to protect consumers, but in reality, this policy hurts the most vulnerable among them. So, dear judges, dear opponents, safety is not just a scientific standard. It is a lived experience. A regulation that looks reassuring in Brussels but feels punishing in supermarkets is not protecting society. It is failing it. And when food becomes less affordable, health worsens. And when inequality grows, safety collapses. We do not build a safer Europe by making food harder to access. For consumers, for fairness, and for real public health, we proudly oppose. Thank you all for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Giovanna. Your speech ended at 8 minutes, 6 seconds. Just one moment. Okay, I'm ready. Give me a sign, judges, whenever you're ready. Okay, perfect. Okay, so thank you for supposition, speaker, for your speech. Now we're gonna give the floor to the second speaker in proposition, which is Sophia. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
My speech begins in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving me the chance to speak here today. My name is Sophie Bisso, and I am the second speaker of the proposition team. Together with my teammate, I stand in favour of the motion proposed earlier by Speaker 1. Having said this, I will start by refuting what has been said by Speaker 1. Firstly, Speaker 1 talks a lot about how ESFA is time-consuming and inefficient. Yes, it definitely does take time, but when things take time, it means real safety is it means that it's gone through lots of scientific approvals, meaning that it's actually safe. For example, titanium dioxide and trans fats, as I would then talk about, prove that Russian approvals let harm slip through the decades. Targeting resources this way will the other thing that Speaker said was that targeting resources this way protects consumers, but targeting only novel foods ignores evidence. In fact, if you think, for example, processed meats and of types of products, they have caused major health risks for lots of people because they have escaped the modern. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
We can hear you, but at least for me, it's very hard to follow the speech because the voice is getting blocked every 2 seconds.
Do I read
The same.
I cannot follow like the phrases. I cannot follow phrases.
Can I read out?
Can I turn off the camera so it gets better?
Yeah, like try to see if you can turn off the camera. I'm gonna reset the time and you can start again, or can you turn on your data connection instead of the Wi-Fi, or the other way around if the other is not working?
Well, we already tried, but you didn't hear us before, so it was worse.
Okay, try to turn off the camera.
Okay.
I will start again.
Okay, start again. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay,
Not a
let
word.
me know if you can hear me now. Okay. So, my speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving me the chance to speak here today. My name is Sophie Bisso, and I am the second speaker of the proposition team. And together with my other teammates, I stand firmly in favour of the motion, which Speaker 1 presented before. As the second speaker, my role is to not only refute what was said before by the other speakers, but also present the last two arguments of the debate. And having said this, I will start refuting what has been said by the previous speakers. So firstly, Speaker 1 stated that EFSA is time-consuming and inefficient. Yes, EFSA does take time, but this is only because vehicle safety requires lots of time because it goes through lots of safety checks, health checks. An example, that I will discuss later, is definitely titanium dioxide and trans fats, which were very harmful for society, but because were not proved before as being harmful, they actually harmed people and had a bad effect on the health before EFSA then discovered that they were harmful. The vegetation number 3 is that number 2 is that consumers, the Speaker 1 stated that the consumers rely on cheap mass market food as they have fewer alternatives when processed ways. Cheap food is not the same as safe food. Consumers may rely on mass market products, but that makes safety even more important, not less. Trans fats and processed meats were cheap and widely consumed, yet they cause serious health risks. The last refutation is that the opposition team claims that EFSA protects consumers, but it actually does not. But right now, lots of traditional foods are not being tested, and this has proved to have a broader effect on the health of consumers. With EFSA's safety assessment, we are able to close that gap. I will now pass on to the second argument of the debate, which is that a unified regulatory system is simply more effective. Right now, Europe runs two parallel systems. Novel foods, for example, chia seeds, insect protein, or new plant-based substitutes, must undergo strict pre-market authorization by the FSA. Traditional foods, those sold before 1997, when the EFSA was created, are covered only by general food law and they're not automatically reassessed under modern science. This fragmented approach is inefficient and have seen the consequence of this because this system only intervenes after harm is suspected, meaning that risks can slip through the years before being addressed. An example of this could be titanium dioxide, which was widely used, for example, in biscuits as a food additive until the EFSA evaluated it in 2021 and concluded it could not be no longer regarded as safe. The same thing happened with trans fats. These examples show that relying on a reactive system means waiting for harm to occur before acting. EFSA would avoid having this, and every food on the shelf for consumers has passed the same EFSA safety test, even the products before. The third argument of the debate is that a unified rule book is fair so that everyone plays by the same rule. And motion is not only about health, it's also about fairness. Right now, companies are introducing new foods that face heavy costs and non-approval processes, while established producers enjoy a free pass. Is this fair? Definitely not. Why should a small startup selling a new plant-based protein branded with stricter rules and multinational
slim products created decades ago. It makes no sense. We can see this unfairness in practice. For example, a small startup called the Chia Company, the Chia Seed Company, founded in Australia in 2003, had to spend years and significant resources to get chia seeds approved in Europe, rightly so, because but for example, a multinational giant like Nestle, which has been selling products before the FSA was created, and sells harmful products such as bread, which lead to diabetes, has never had to undergo any of these modern safety checks. Transparency builds trust. EFSA's assessments based on publicly available scientific doses and applying this to all food would show that every producer is accountable to the same standards. Fragmented regulation instead increases costs for certain innovators, but creates barriers for others. This is about justice. Everyone plays by the same rules, and everyone earns consumer trust the same way. To conclude, our team believes strongly that requiring all foods already on the market to undergo the European safety assessment currently mandated for novel foods is both necessary and fair. Unified rules, as the speaker once said, means stronger health protection for consumers, and a unified book ensures fairness for all producers. Also, having a unified regulatory system ensures, contrary to what the speaker once said, that it is that the system is more effective. When food safety is at stake, there should be no exceptions, no shortcuts, and no double standards. By applying this system, EFSA's rigorous but necessary framework to all foods, Europe is able to guarantee that every food a consumer consumes backed by the same science, the same fairness, and the same trust that EFSA gives. Why should some companies not? Why should some companies have to pay the cost of FSAs and others not? It isn't fair, just because of the period of time in which they were created. It is important that Europe guarantees that everyone, every producer and every consumer is fair, and the research is backed up by the same science. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Sophia, your speech lasted 7 minutes and 57 seconds. Just give me a moment, give us a moment. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna move on to the second speaker of side opposition. Angela, the floor is yours whenever you're ready. You all right? Angela?
Sorry,
Yeah, tell me.
we are having a problem because we are debating from school, and right now they're telling us that we need to exit. So can I start the debate while I go?
Yeah, like if it takes you, I don't know, half a minute to just
I
move,
can hear you.
like we can wait for you. It's not a problem. Like
Sorry,
just hurry up and we can start again.
What?
Okay, if it takes you small time to just move to another room, just move and then we're gonna
No,
start.
it's just that
Otherwise.
we need to leave school, so I'm going to
Oh, okay. Sorry.
um,
Okay.
have a
Then
problem. I can start while walking on the street. I don't know what to.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Yes.
Okay.
At this point, do it
Okay.
like this.
So, it was said by the.
Are you starting your speech? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm starting my speech. So it was said by the proposition team that it's not fair for some companies to have to be um, to be regulated and other to not be regulated. But we wanted to say that basically this is not a main issue, and probably the main issues on scale. So we're talking about the big numbers. Most of the stakeholder, the main stakeholder would be the consumers actually. And so for our second argument, we are talking about small producers and big companies actually. And the point is that mandatory UA EFSA safety assessments imposes high regulatory and financial burdens that maybe food producers cannot absorb, benefiting only large corporation. Basically, what we want to say that is that large corporation will probably absorb these small producers, for example. We talk about family farm businesses or other small small businesses, and the risk is that they will lose their identity, and or either they will disappear. And by this I mean they either get absorbed in other big companies, so they have to follow their rules, and so they probably won't be able to be uh, actually authentic to their to their identity. And for example, artisanal and small food businesses will struggle to survive, as it's said in many reports. For example, we have a evidence that was from a report of MES data, and this shows that 55% of small and medium sized enterprises ident- identify regulatory obstacles, and their biggest challenge with the compliance costs cited as major barrier to competitiveness and investment. So it's a major problem uh, for small companies, as it's stated in many reports. And by SMEs, I want to precise that we mean small and medium businesses, so businesses that can't afford usually these high costs. And also for our third argument, we basically want to criticize the possibility of this being an actual this being possible in reality. I mean, we think this is impossible at the scale, and too expensive to be implemented in real world in the real world. And our point is basically that every food product on the market is it's impossible for the administration. So we're talking about the European Food Safety Administration, EFSA, it's impossible for even a large number of scientists to regulate every food and to make everything a novel food. We mean that even if we put a large number of scientists, it would be administratively unworkable, and also the cost would be probative on the scale proposed. So this is impossible, basically. And so extrapolating this safety assessment for every food product means a massive aggregate cost burden on producers and consumer alike, and the European Commission a new simplification proposal that aims to save businesses hundreds of millions of euros annually in administrative costs, because compliance with existing rules already imposes large burdens. And if current complexity necessitates simplification, imposing universal safety assessments requirements adds to the very burden regulators they're trying to reduce. And the food smiths, so medium expire businesses already report compliance challenges. Many research says that it's impossible for them to go through this. To uh, uh, understand and meet existing regulatory requirements due to limited accepted.
You said many reports stated that it's impossible to for the workers to examine all the foods. What is the source of the reports that you use to determine whether it's easy or hard?
Yeah, we found this source on the reports from the UA committee that actually works on these problems, and it's a committee from the European Parliament that reflects on these problems, and you can find the source online. Actually, it's very easy, and this is an actual problem that is actually discussed, and it's you can find it anyway. So as I was saying, so since small and medium food businesses are already struggling with many problems, this would be an ulterior problem, and due to limited resources and expertise. And this plan is not realistic, so we can actually make it in the real world, as I said before, because there's a high risk of it collapsing under its own weight, and costs ordinary Europeans dearly. So not only customers but also producers will have many problems to exist. And with this, I end my speech.
Thank you so much, Angela. Your speech ended at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Just give me a moment. Okay, perfect. Now, we're gonna start with the third speakers right now, starting from proposition. Sara Gorrino, the floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Do I keep my camera on? 'Cause I don't know.
I don't know. It's not that the situation was better when you turned it off, to be honest, but still better than when you had it. So if you're more comfortable because of the connection, try to turn it off. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
Maybe it's even better. Maybe try. We'll see.
Okay. My speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, everyone, members of the jury, teammates, and members of the opposition. My name is Sara Gorrino, and I'm speaker 3 for the Pro team. As me and my teammates Sophie and Ferrari already said, we're pro to the motion, and I'm going to show it by refuting what has been said by the opposing team and restate our main team line on arguments, explaining what we firmly believe. We firmly believe that regulations always. I would like to start by refuting what has been said by the first speaker of the COM team. First of all, they stated that if regulations that there is a false assumption in our speech of the fact that regulations applies to equally to all foods. The opposition's argument collapses because it assumes a one-size-fits-all assessment, because it's factually incorrect. As Sophie Bisto, our second speaker, showed, traditional foods are already exempt or fast-tracked the EU law, and if they have a history of safe consumption. Novel food regulations, however, are risk-based and not size-based. This the assessment are meant to avoid risks and not heritage foods. So this is a straw man. Like no one is proposing to treat, for example, Tinzel cheese the same way as lab-engineered additives. Other thing that has been said is that cost is not. It's very costly and it's unfair when risk is higher. We agree with the fact that assessments are expensive and time-consuming because, as Sophie said, I would like to add the fact that risk evaluation requires evidence. If a product introduces new processing methods, new ingredients, or exposure levels, the cost reflects the potential public health impact. Lowering the standards to reduce costs would shift the burden from producers to consumers who pay with their health. So safety regulation is not an economic conclusion, it's a risk accountability. Moreover, what has been stated is the fact that large corporation benefiting does not mean regulation is wrong. However, the claim that EFSA assessments only benefit large corporation confuse capacity with intent. This is because large companies benefit because they introduce more novel products, not because the regulation favors them. Removing or weakening regulation would not empower the small producers, but it would expose them to competition from safe and cheaper subsidies. Regulation prevents a race to the bottom, which hurts the small producers the most. So what you said is not true because actually the small producers are affected as bigger producers. So there is a negative impact on both sides. Moreover, you stated that traditional foods are disappearing is speculative, and it's not inevitable with the EFSA safety assessment. The opposition claims predictable harm without causal proof. Traditional foods, we believe, and it's proven that would survive because of consumer trust and traditions, which regulation reinforces. But without the safety oversight, one contamination scandal would destroy an entire regional market. So regulation protects tradition by protecting credibility. This is the reason why traditions would continue existing and there would not be any negative impact from our side. Moreover, you mentioned that market diversity depends on trust. However, the even though regulation reduces choice, ignores reality. Consumers avoid products they do not trust. So safety frameworks expand markets by making products that are more acceptable across the borders. So no safety means no scales, no total diversity, and no consumer trust. Another claim the opposition has made is the fact that public health overweights selective economic inconvenience. Food safety is not really an economic issue, but it's a public health obligation. As the first speaker mentioned, consumers with limited income are the most harmed by unsafe food, not by regulation. So preventive regulation is cheaper than healthcare comes from food-related illnesses. The real unfairness is letting the rich follow foods with the first alternatives. The real unfairness and the real risk is not passing those foods through the EFSA, but avoiding that because of this the fear of losing traditions. Well, we firmly proved that this would not happen, and we refuted what you said. So we do not see the issue in not letting the foods pass through. After refuting, I would like to repeat our team's main arguments and at Teamline, which states that Europe's foods country regulation is split between two systems: novel foods, which must undergo strict EFSA pre-market authorization, and traditional foods, which are only covered by federal food laws and they're not reassessed under the modern science. This approach is very inefficient and unfair. You also mentioned that unfairness is not a real issue. We believe that unfairness is instead a big issue, both because foods have to pass through the FSA and because right now it also depends on the different companies. So there are two different types of unfairness, and we talked about safety, about health, but politics. But we also believe that tradition, but we believe that fairness is crucial when considering national and international associations. Moreover, the current system is also unfair because companies that introduce new foods face heavy costs and long approval processes, which we said are essential. Well-established producers enjoy a free pass, we can say. So, a small startup like the Chia company had to invest years and significant resources to get this cheese approved in Europe. However, multinational giants like Nestlé have sold traditional products for decades without undergoing modern safety checks, which is not potentially safe, and it's really unfair. In conclusion, requiring all foods to undergo the FSA's rigorous safety assessment is both necessary for safety and fairness. By applying EFSA's framework consistently, Europe can guarantee that every bite is backed by the same science, same fairness, and same trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Your speech lasted 8 minutes and 11 seconds. Give us a moment, please.
Okay, my speech will start in 3.
Wait. Carlo Orsatti, are you ready? Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry. The floor is yours, Mike, whenever you're ready. Thank you so much. Third speaker, opposition, floor is yours.
Yes, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. All right. First of all, as we established, I'm the third speaker of my team. I would like to first of all talk about the most important points of the first speech they had, the other team had. They said first of all that time and space aren't this thing isn't conditioned by time and space, which we don't think is true, because as we said in the second speech, by the European Council Social Committee, they actually do matter, because hypothetically, let's say we agree, yes, we should absolutely commit to this thing. So what are we going to do? What is the solution? Because even logically, we can state that if you just stop selling some things because you have to control them, how are you going to do that? Are you going to stop the market from selling them, and so the food will go bad because it takes a lot of time? Or will you stop some markets from selling it, so you control one market at a time? So you let those markets don't sell that thing because you have to control it, and then the other market, what are going to do? Are they going to still sell it while you control some markets, because you can control possibly all markets at once? Another thing they said is that in Europe we have the highest control on food, so we do have control on food. We as a team don't see why we should have more control if we already have the most controlled food in all Europe. Another thing is that they say that improves economic and has safely food. That doesn't make sense either, because as our team stated, it actually doesn't, because as we said in the first and the second speech, customers usually choose the safest food, not the cheapest food, not the food they trust more, because in our economy it's extremely. Yes.
Are you stating that money goes over health for the society?
I am absolutely not saying that, because we already do have controls. So this will be more controls that we don't really need, since people are choosing the cheapest offer and not the safest offer. That's because, as we know, how can a normal family, let's say a family that has a father that works hard, can't afford some food? Of course, many families choose cheapest more than quality. They used to buy junk food, even though it's not the safest. Yes.
You stating that we already have safe food on the market. However, if food is not fully controlled, how do safe products reach the market and get recalled every year? The ones that do not pass through the association FSAA.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. You're saying that foods are already fully controlled. However, if foods are already fully controlled, how do safe and products still reach the market and get recalled every time, every month, every year without the FSAA?
That's because we already. I'm sorry, maybe I didn't understand the question, but as I stated, we already have many controls that aren't permanent. I mean, they are renewable. They keep doing them over time. Another things you said is actually that it was limiting safe food, which connects to that. We aren't limiting safe food, because safe food is already on the market, because every food on the market is already controlled. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well. As we stated in the first speech, safety is something you can state on paper, but it's not something you can actually give, because trust is not safety. We already said that in the first speech. Sorry. Other things that is important is that you say lots of traditional food are already checked or are not checked. And you say most of traditional food are not checked. That's not true either, because as I said, we already have controls, and usually traditional food is food that's more, how do I say it? It's more of a small imprenditor things, small markets, small business. So it's actually even more controlled because paradoxically, usually small business gets more control over the big business because mass producers usually aren't attacked by these things, because if something bad happens, as you said, they one contamination can destroy um, uh, someone's reputation. This usually doesn't happen for mass production products. As we all know, it happened many times in the years that mass production factories had controversies, had many things that like stated they did something wrong, and they kept going. They just fixed the problem and they kept going on. This couldn't happen with a small business. A small business would end if this problem presented to them. I don't know if I'm explaining this well. You also say that people usually avoid food they don't know, but that doesn't make sense either, because let's take as an example the sushi. Everyone eats sushi, but sushi wasn't something we ate before. That's something we started trusting. If you never start trusting something, if you never try something new, then you're never going to start trusting it. Yes.
So you're saying that sushi is something that nobody knew before about and that they haven't trusted yet when they ate it. But don't you think sushi has, at one period of time, a specific period of time, has become a trend? And do you think that they didn't really care about the other's opinion, that they think that sushi is good, like popularity? Do you think that it didn't have an impact on your own opinion about trying a new food, the society's popularity of sushi?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if people never started eating it, then how will they start to trust it? We already knew sushi, but it wasn't like an European thing. It wasn't something we in Europe used to eat. So we had to slowly trust it to start eating it. And that's people that still don't trust it. And that's fine. I'm just saying that if you never... Yes.
How can you trust a food without scientific approval from a national and European society, just because you want to try something new?
As I said, we already have controls. So the controls are there. They just aren't the Europe assessment controls, not this kind of, they're like some more. They are more than what we should do. We already have controls, so we already know that's safe, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of controls? Like we before stated, EFSA's also traditional food. What are the controls?
I'm sorry, time for POIs is over. Sorry.
Right. So with that, I think I end my speech.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mike, for your speech. It lasted 8 minutes, 10 seconds. Just give us time. Perfect. Okay, so now we're done with the first constructive part of the debate. I would like to now welcome the two reply speeches on the floor, starting from sides opposition's reply. The floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Okay, can you hear me properly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so if everyone's ready, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Dear judges and dear opponents, I would like us to imagine two words, two oceans, two fleets of ships. In the first world, the world the proposition envisions, every ship must pass through the same inspection, the same long, painstaking procedures, whether it's a tiny fishing boat or a massive cruise liner. This is their unified fleet. Orderly, disciplined, neat. On paper, it seems perfect. Everyone follows the same rules. Everyone is safe. In our world, the world we defend, the fleet sails differently. Ships are assessed based on their risk and their size. Dangerous ships get full inspection. Small, tried and true vessels are monitored efficiently. Resources are focused where danger is real, and the fleet can move faster, safer, and more effectively. Now, let's explore why our world is better. First, consider the people who live in this world, our consumers. In the propositions world, the cost of inspecting every single ship or foot is enormous. They claim that it's about health, but the prices rise. Low-income families or students and those who rely on cheap staples are forced to choose between affordability and nutrition. In our world, we protect health because we do think that it's important, of course, but we protect it without leaving anyone behind because our risk-based approach keeps prices manageable and food accessible. Our ocean keeps the fleet moving without sinking the poorest passengers. Second, think about efficiency. This was a point of clash, an important point of clash. They claim that these European safety assessment is very efficient, while we claim the opposite. In the propositions fleet, inspectors are swamped. They spend months on ships that have sailed safely for decades, while new potentially dangerous vessels wait in line. In our world, inspectors are focused on what actually matters, making sure that high-risk ships are monitored immediately. They also monitor with other inspectors, with other assessments. They do monitor every foot, but they put all these special forces on the one that have a high risk. So safety in our world is not an illusion, but it is real, it is timely, and it is effective. Then finally, consider the economy and the diversity of the fleets. The proposition system favors the ships that can afford long inspections. Large corporate liners dominate. Small local or traditional boats struggle to survive. In our world, small producers thrive, markets remain diverse, and our fleet is resilient. Prices stay competitive, okay, even in our world, and innovation flourishes. Our ocean is alive with choice, not just monopolies. So, dear judges and dear opponents, the clash is clear. They claim their world is unified, fair, and effective. We show that their world hurts consumers, slows safety, and crushes diversity, while ours protects real health, maintains efficiency, and keeps the fleet of producers strong. In short, there is a world that looks safe from above but fails on the surface, while our world is a world that works for real people, real time, and real safety. For these, our world is better. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Giovanna, for your speech. It lasted 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, so whenever propositions reply speaker is ready, the floor is yours. whenever you're ready.
I will close the camera.
Okay. The speaker is, sorry again, for the reply. Sophia.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
My speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, everyone. I've returned to speak in order to conclude my team's fees and debate that we have engaged in today. It has been very stimulating and constructive, and I thank you all for your attention. This very interesting debate has revolved around 3 main controversies. The first concerns the claim that EFSA is slow and ineffective. We have shown the opposite. Although EFSA takes time, it is extremely efficient in food safety. The real weakness lies not in EFSA itself, but in the fragmented system that exempts traditional foods checks. We have shown through examples such as titanium dioxide and trans fats that these prove the danger of relying on reactive bans after harm has already occurred. Almost believes that EFSA's proactive framework to all food, making protection consistent, universal, and truly effective. The second controversy concerns market diversity and trust. Consumers avoid products they do not trust, and without trust, diversity in the market collapses. If only novel foods are vigorously tested, as the position team believes, traditional foods will escape modern checks, and consumers will lose confidence in the whole system. By requiring all foods to undergo the assessment, we build trust across the board. The opposition raised objections, but maintained that the evidence supporting our thesis offers a more complete and convincing perspective. Finally, the third controversy concerns the future of traditional foods. The opposition warned that traditional foods might disappear under strict rules in the long term. We believe the opposite. Applying EFSA's framework actually protects them. Traditional food risk being banned without modern reassessments, but a unified system such as EFSA ensures traditional foods are tested, proven safe before it's too late, and preserved for future generation. This means overall more safety not only for the traditional foods but also for the consumers. Ultimately, this debate has brought out diverse perspectives, and we are convinced that our position is well-founded and deserves consideration. We decided to explain this better by asking the House to imagine 2 worlds. In the first, Europe keeps its fragmented system. EFSA checks only novel foods while traditional one escapes modern science. This is the opposition's team's world. Consumers will lose trust, diversity will shrink, and risks created by toxic foods will slip through until it's too late. In the second world, our world, the opposition team's world, the EFSA's effective framework applies to all food, assuring that trust grows, diversity flourishes, and traditional products are preserved because they're tested, proven safe, and legitimize the future generations. Now, we as a team, proposition team, we ask, which world would you like to live would like to live in? In a world where consumers lose trust, gain trust, with safe or unsafe? We prefer the second one. Thank you once again, everyone, for your attention.
Thank you so much for Sophia for your speech. The only thing just for this speech, I forgot to start the time. So if anybody else
I had the time.
We had the time.
It was 4:02.
4 minutes 2 seconds. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the debate is over. I would like everybody just to turn on your mic to clap hands for these 2 amazing things that debate is. Congrats, you all. Okay, so now the debate is over, which means that we're gonna go, like me and the other two panelists, to the other room. I'm gonna interrupt the recording and start it again later.